Welcome to the deep dive. You're here because you want to get smart, fast on a complex topic, and today we're diving headfirst into the world of cryptocurrency crime investigation.
Yeah, it's quite a world.
We've got a stack of information, actually, including a really insightful handbook for investigators. Our mission is simple: pull out the crucial knowledge, those surprising details, give you a real understanding of what's going on, without drowning you in jargon.
Exactly. And this isn't just theory. That handbook, our main source here, it's written by someone who's actually been in the trenches doing these investigations.
So practical stuff. Good.
Right from the source.
Oh.
Okay, so let's jump in. You probably remember maybe a time when crypto and crime felt almost synonymous.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That perception has really evolved, hasn't it?
It really has. It felt like back in the early days, if you heard Bitcoin, you immediately thought dark web. Was that connection really as strong as it seemed?
In some ways, even stronger. Think back to, say, 2009, Bitcoin's just starting out. Some estimates suggest maybe around 30%, huge chunk of all crypto activity was linked to crime.
30%? Wow.
Yeah, mostly on those early dark web markets, buying illicit stuff.
Okay, that really puts it in perspective.
It does. And then fast forward a bit, maybe to 2016, Bitcoin was still king in crypto crime. Like maybe 97% of all crypto used illicitly was Bitcoin.
97%. So the narrative was pretty much true back then.
Well, it's pretty solid, yeah.
Yeah.
Bitcoin was the criminal's choice.
But now, that feels different. You don't hear about Bitcoin quite the same way in crime stories.
You're spot on. By 2022, that handbook points out, Bitcoin's share of crypto crime plummeted down to around just 16%.
Hey, 16, that's a massive drop. What happened?
Well, it tells you a lot about how things have changed, both the tech and, the criminals getting smarter.
So what's driving that shift then? Why ditch Bitcoin?
For a couple of key things. First, Bitcoin. Well, it seemed anonymous at first, but the tools to trace transactions, they've gotten really, really good. Much easier to follow the money now.
Ah, okay. Less anonymous than people thought.
Definitely. And second, think about it. If you're dealing with, large amounts of illicit cash, you want stability, right?
Right. You don't want your haul shrinking by half overnight because the market tanked.
Exactly. Bitcoin's price is just too volatile for that kind of business.
Okay, so if the bad guys aren't using Bitcoin as much, what are they using?
Well, the handbook really highlights the rise of stablecoins.
Stablecoins. Right. Pegged to dollars and things.
Precisely. Cryptocurrencies designed to hold a steady value, usually like the US dollar. That's stability. Much more appealing for illicit finance.
And I guess some offer maybe a bit more privacy too, or easier ways to cash out.
Generally, yeah. Not all are built for privacy, but they often make it easier to use what are called over-the-counter or OTC desks.
OTC desks.
Think of them like, services outside the big exchanges. Places where you can swap crypto for actual cash. Sometimes with, let's say, less rigorous ID checks, especially as the handbook notes, in places known for higher rates of money laundering.
I see. So easier to turn it into untraceable cash.
Potentially, yes. So the key takeaway here for listeners isn't just criminals stopped using Bitcoin. It's more about their adaptability. They shift to whatever offers the best combo of, maybe, anonymity and that crucial stability. Investigators have to keep chasing that moving target.
Which brings us to the investigators themselves. With this constantly changing landscape, what challenges are they up against? What's in their toolkit?
That's a huge question, isn't it?
Mm.
It feels like you need a whole new skill set for this stuff.
Totally.
And the handbook confirms that. Initially, there was this massive knowledge gap. Cops, financial investigators. They just weren't familiar with crypto, blockchain tech. Yeah. It's like trying to solve a crime written in a language you don't speak.
Yeah, sounds incredibly daunting. How do you even start?
That's why resources like Nick Furneaux's book, Investigating Cryptocurrencies, the handbook praises it, are so important. It breaks down how the blockchain works, how to use it in investigations, but without getting lost in super technical weeds.
So accessible knowledge is key. Tool agnostic, you said.
Yeah, focuses on the principles, not just specific software. Closing that education gap is really hurdle number one.
Okay, but even if you have the knowledge, are there just inherent difficulties in this field? It moves so fast.
Oh, absolutely. The handbook actually quotes Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, life moves pretty fast.
Exactly. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it. That's crypto crime investigation in a nutshell. Criminals are always adapting, finding new tech, new loopholes.
So investigators can't just learn it once and be done.
No way. Constant learning, adapting techniques.
Yeah.
It's critical. Old financial investigation methods, they might not work anymore with crypto involved.
Yeah.
Really is a constant cat and mouse game.
Okay, so the game's changed. Let's look at the specific plays then. The types of crypto crimes investigators are seeing now. Theft seems like a good starting point. We all hear about the big exchange hacks.
Yeah, those grab the headlines, don't they? Mount Gox way back when.
Yeah.
That really shook people.
I remember that. Huge news.
Exactly. The handbook reminds us of those early massive breaches. And more recently, big attacks on exchanges like KuCoin, Bitmart, high-profile stuff.
But is that where most theft happens now? Big exchanges. Or are individuals targets too?
That's an interesting point the handbook makes. While exchange hacks are big, there's a significant and growing problem with social engineering attacks, targeting individual wallet holders.
Ah, so tricking people directly.
Precisely. These often fly under the radar compared to exchange hacks, but they can be absolutely devastating. People get manipulated into giving up their private keys or sending crypto to fake addresses.
Which leads us nicely into scams.
Yeah.
Phishing is probably the classic one people know.
Right. And crypto phishing has its own twists. The handbook mentions a fake website, looked legit, supposedly helped you generate an IOTA wallet.
Okay.
But secretly, it was sending your seed words, those vital recovery phrases, straight to the scammer.
Ouch. So a crypto version of a familiar trick.
Exactly. But the handbook also stresses something important. The basic skills for investigating old-school scams. Understanding social engineering, analyzing messages, still super relevant here. The how of the scam is often quite similar at its core.
What about rug pulls? Hear that term a lot, especially with DeFi.
Yeah, rug pulls are particularly nasty.
Yeah.
Basically, someone creates a new crypto token, hypes it up like crazy, gets investors piling in.
Pumps the price.
Right. Then the creators, who secretly hold loads of the tokens, just dump them all at once, sells off everything.
And the value collapses.
To zero, usually.
Yeah.
Drains all the money out. The Squid Game token was a textbook example. Huge hype, then poof, gone. Identifying them early. Technically tricky. It's about spotting that manufactured hype and planned exit.
Ugh. And romance scams using crypto. That just sounds awful.
It's heartbreaking. The handbook details how scammers build these fake online relationships, gain trust, and then weave in crypto investment fraud.
So they manipulate emotions and finances.
Exactly. They'll coach the victim. Buy this crypto, invest in my amazing DeFi project, send funds here. They're often really good at it. There was even a case mentioned where the victim was tricked into signing a dodgy smart contract.
What did that do?
It basically gave the scammer permission to just empty their wallet completely.
Hmm.
It's a brutal mix of emotional and financial abuse.
And it's not just individuals targeted by investment scams, right? Some are bigger operations.
Oh, absolutely. The handbook notes these scams can pop up anywhere globally, often look super professional, slick websites, promises of crazy returns.
You good dippy true.
Usually. And the handbook stresses doing your homework, background checks. So many victims don't. Like, check the company address sometimes. It turns out to be, a random takeaway shop. Big red flag.
Right. Support scams, are they a thing in crypto too? Like fake Microsoft support?
Yeah, the handbook mentions them briefly. Same idea. Fake messages, problem with your wallet, account compromised. Trying to trick you into giving up info or sending crypto to fix a non-existent issue.
Okay. Moving on to hacks. We talked exchange hacks. But what about the blockchains themselves? Are they getting hacked?
That's a key distinction the handbook makes. Generally, the core blockchain tech like Bitcoins is actually very secure. Has held up really well.
So what is getting hacked then?
It's more often the systems built around the blockchain. Exchanges customer databases, how they manage private keys, their transaction software. Think of it like layers on top. Each layer can have weaknesses.
So standard cybersecurity principles still apply.
Very much so. If you're a cyber investigator used to financial attacks, you're often well-placed for crypto hacks. Many fundamentals are similar.
But the handbook did mention some attacks targeting blockchain-related tech directly, like smart contracts.
Yes, exactly. Smart contracts, those automated agreements on blockchains like Ethereum, they've become a huge target.
Because they hold value.
And because they run on code. Flaws in that code. Hackers find them and exploit them. Make the contract do things it shouldn't, like sending funds to the hacker.
Any big examples?
Oh yeah. The handbook points to the Compound Protocol exploit and the massive Ronin bridge hack linked to the Lazarus Group. Hundreds of millions stolen by exploiting smart contract weaknesses.
Wow. And flash loan attacks, they sound really complex.
They are. Pretty sophisticated DeFi stuff. Flash loans let you borrow massive amounts of crypto, like instantly, with no collateral, if you pay it back in the same transaction block.
Okay. How is that exploited?
Attackers use these huge temporary loans to manipulate prices on decentralized exchanges. especially smaller ones. They create artificial price swings to trick the system into giving them money. The BZX attack is a key example.
Sounds like you'd need a finance expert for that.
Definitely. The handbook says financial investigators who get market manipulation are crucial for tackling these.
Okay, quite the crime list. Let's shift to money laundering. Crypto seems like it would be perfect for that, right? The supposed anonymity.
Well, that was the early thinking. The reality is a bit more nuanced now. The handbook covers different angles, starting with exchanges.
How do they fit in?
Many big exchanges are now pretty cooperative. They have Know Your Customer, KYC, and Anti-Money Laundering, AML rules. They provide info to law enforcement. But there are still exchanges that are less compliant or based in places with weaker rules. Moving funds there can be a red flag for investigators.
What about newer things? NFTs. How could you launder money with digital art?
It's actually pretty straightforward. In theory, the handbook gives an example. Say you have dirty money, you create a simple NFT, like basic digital art. Then you use the dirty money in crypto form to buy that NFT from yourself or an accomplice for a hugely inflated price.
Ah, like washing money through overpriced traditional art.
It's exactly the same principle. And NFT markets, at least when the handbook was written, often had less oversight. The sheer volume on places like OpenSea makes manual tracking tough. But if an investigator is watching a specific address, seeing its NFT activity can be revealing.
Mixers, their whole point is to hide the trail, right?
Pretty much. Mixers or tumblers pool funds from lots of users together, mix them all up, and then send them out again. Makes it incredibly hard to link the output back to the original input.
Can they be beaten?
It's tough. The handbook mentions an early case tracing Bitcoin Cash manually through one, but it also talks about Tornado Cash sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury because so much illicit money, including from huge hacks, flowed through it.
So they can become targets for enforcement. What about decentralized exchanges, DXs?
DXs usually don't hold your funds directly.
Yeah.
They're non-custodials, and often they don't require KYC. No ID checks.
Making them attractive for launderers?
Potentially, yes. That lack of identity verification can make it easier to obscure transaction history. So, seeing a suspect use DXs a lot, that's definitely something investigators would note.
And moving funds between different blockchains. Chain hopping.
Yeah, using bridges. Another way to make tracing harder. You move value from, say, Ethereum to Solana. Different tech, different ledgers, it complicates things. The wormhole bridge hack, as mentioned, highlights the risks and how funds can almost vanish into another ecosystem.
Peer-to-peer platforms, P2P, some are more private than others.
Yes, the handbook contrasts something like parts of 1inch, which might need some KYC, with BISC, which explicitly says no registration needed.
So no records, no one to subpoena.
Exactly. It makes tracing extremely difficult, and you're unlikely to get help from the platform itself.
Sadly, we also have to talk about more serious stuff. Terrorist financing, sanctions evasion.
The handbook acknowledges this. For terrorist financing, the percentage of crypto involved might be small overall, but the actual dollar amounts can still be significant. There was one seizure mentioned worth $80 million in crypto.
Wow. So anti-terrorism teams need crypto skills too.
Absolutely critical. And for sanctions evasion, the U.S. Treasury's OFAC actively adds crypto addresses linked to sanctioned people or groups to its SDN list, especially designated nationals.
And you can't transact with those addresses.
Correct. And crucially, transacting with a sanctioned address, even if you didn't know it was sanctioned, can bring serious legal trouble.
A stark reminder of how crypto intersects with really serious global issues. Okay, for our listeners wondering how investigators actually do all this, what are the key techniques and tools?
Yeah, the handbook gets into this. A big one is open source intelligence OSINT.
More than just Google searches, I assume.
Oh yeah, much more. Professional OSINT uses specialized tools, techniques to dig up info online. But the handbook also stresses the legal and ethical side privacy, how data is gathered. It even recommends good books if you want to learn more OSINT.
Beyond online searching, what about technical skills? What do investigators need?
A solid grasp of computer systems, networks, security, cryptography, and crucially, financial crime principles. It's not just about tech.
Is it different from standard cybersecurity?
Yes, the handbook makes that distinction. Cybersecurity is about preventing attacks. Cybercrime investigation is about figuring out what happened after a crime. Related, but different focus. It suggests looking for criminology programs with cybercrime specifics, not just general cybersecurity.
And putting together a team for this must be important.
Definitely. The handbook outlines typical structures, strategic, tactical, operational roles. Clear command, clear responsibilities. In the UK, they often use the 4PS framework: prepare, protect, prevent, pursue.
What about actually looking at devices, digital forensics in crypto?
The handbook mentions the evolution from old command line tools to things like Encase, and now modern tools like Magnet Axiom.
Axiom.
Yeah, highlighted for automating a lot of the complex tasks. Often a first step in forensics labs now. But the core principle is always the same. Don't change the original evidence. Do no harm.
Blockchain analysis itself, that sounds specialized.
It is. A key technique is address clustering, grouping different crypto addresses likely controlled by the same entity.
To see the bigger picture.
Exactly. See their total activity, not just one transaction. The handbook warns against making tracing diagrams too complex, though keep it clear. It mentions tools like Blockshare for data, and even notes AI like ChatGPT can help visualize transaction logs sometimes.
Interesting. Wallets are central to crypto. How do investigators look at those?
First key thing, wallets don't hold crypto. They hold the private keys that control the crypto on the blockchain.
Ah, right. Important difference.
Crucial. The handbook covers different types: hot wallets, online, cold, offline, hardware wallets, and their risks, like supply chain attacks for hardware ones.
And seed words, the recovery phrases.
Absolutely vital. The handbook even shows practically how you can use seed words in software like Electrum to recreate a wallet. It shows how powerful they are.
Yeah.
It also touches on technical stuff like derivation paths, gap limits, how wallets manage multiple addresses from one seed. For investigators, knowing wallets hold keys and the power of seed words is fundamental.
Can they get info right off a device being used?
Sometimes. On-device investigations, the handbook calls it, using command line tools like grep to search files for, say, Ethereum addresses, or using Python code to check addresses found.
What about data and memory, RAM?
Yeah, RAM analysis. Using tools like Volatility or memproc you might recover stuff not saved to the hard drive, like open wallet files, browser history for exchanges, potentially very valuable.
And for really understanding the basics, what blockchain concepts are key?
The handbook points out the difference between Bitcoin's model UTXO, like digital cash notes, and Ethereum's account-based model, more like a bank balance. Understanding that helps interpret transactions correctly. It also mentions things like base 58 encoding in Bitcoin addresses. It has built-in error checking to prevent typos sending funds to the wrong place.
That's super helpful. Okay, great overview of the investigation side. What about actually seizing the crypto once it's found? Sounds tricky.
It definitely is. The handbook really stresses needing clear legal frameworks, proper training, secure processes. It's not simple.
What kind of processes?
Strongly recommends the 4 Eyes principle. At least 2 people involved in every step of seizure. Minimizes errors, protects against accusations.
Makes sense. What about grabbing it from a suspect's computer directly?
That's high risk.
Yeah.
On-site seizure from a live device has challenges, remote wipes, things like that. Documenting the chain of custody meticulously is absolutely critical.
Chain of custody, right, for the evidence trail.
Paramount. The handbook also notes international bodies like FATF are pushing for better global standards for crypto asset recovery. So procedures will likely get more standardized, hopefully more successful.
Let's zoom in on Ethereum for a bit. The handbook says it's more complex than Bitcoin. What do investigators need to know?
Right, Ethereum isn't just a currency. Its smart contract capability changes everything, creates new avenues for crime. The main coin is Ether, ETH. Smallest unit is Wei, fees often in Gwei.
Okay. And addresses work differently.
Key difference. One Ethereum address can hold ETH and loads of other digital assets, ERC20 tokens, NFTs. So investigators can't just check the ETH balance. They need to see all the tokens linked to an address.
What tools help with that?
EtherScan is mentioned as indispensable. It shows so much on-chain data clearly.
How do you investigate those smart contracts then?
The handbook explains different transaction types: ETH to ETH, ETH to contract, token transfers. On EtherScan, you can look at a contract address, see tabs like read contract, write contract to understand its functions. It uses an example, Oyster Pearl, showing how function names hint to the contract's purpose.
What about tracing through decentralized exchanges, DAX?
That gets complex. The handbook uses a neat analogy, jelly beans and M&Ms, to explain liquidity pools and swap contracts. How you trade one token for another.
Liquidity pools.
Okay, it also explains approved transactions. That's where you give a smart contract permission to move your tokens. Important to understand.
Does investigating Ethereum help with other chains?
Often, yes. Many other chains, Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, Tron, are EVM compatible. They can run Ethereum-style smart contracts, so the principles often carry over.
The handbook mentions stablecoins and Tron's staking, too.
Yeah. Stablecoins like USDT, USDC run on multiple chains, have their own regulatory angles. USDC, for instance, emphasizes compliance. Tron has its own thing where users lock up TRX tokens, staking to vote, and earn rewards. Recognizing those transactions can matter.
And token burning. Minting.
Right. Permanently removing tokens, burning, or creating new ones, minting. The handbook uses a game, Gold of Guardians, as an example. But again, tracing funds across different chains using bridges. Still a major headache for investigators. Needs specialist knowledge.
We talked about analyzing the blockchain data itself. How does OSINT tie into crypto investigation specifically, like on Ethereum?
OSINT can be the key to linking that on-chain stuff to real people. The handbook gives a great example. Tracing an NFT owner, they looked at the Ethereum name service domain.
ENS, like a web domain for a wallet.
Exactly. A human-readable name linked to the crypto address. In that case, the ENS name led right to a known person. By cross-referencing blockchain data with info found elsewhere online, social media, forums, whatever you build a picture.
What about the dark web? Is that useful, OSINT?
It can be a source, but the handbook warns. Extreme caution needed. Specialized training, secure practices, follow all legal rules. It's a risky environment.
Absolutely. Okay, this has been incredibly thorough. Bringing it all together, what are the main insights our listeners should take away from the handbook's perspective?
I'd say two main things. First, just how fast this field changes. Criminal tactics, technology, it's constant flux. So continuous learning is non-negotiable for investigators.
Get curious, stay updated.
Exactly. And second, you need that solid grasp of the fundamentals, blockchain
Right.
basics, different crypto types, the common criminal methods we discussed. The handbook really lays that groundwork.
And for you, our listener, digesting all of this, what's the final thought we should leave you with?
Well, think about this. We've got increasingly sophisticated crypto tech, right? And criminals finding ever more ingenious ways to exploit it. What does that mean long-term for financial security, for law enforcement strategies?
Big question.
Huge. It's a landscape that demands constant adaptation, staying informed, rethinking approaches. So maybe pick an area we touched on that grabbed your interest and keep exploring.
Great advice. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until our next exploration, stay informed.